Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome to the second class of Srimad Bhagavatam Canto 3. We're going to be starting up with the second chapter. Beautiful remembrances of Krishna incoming. Welcome to Luna, Lauren here for the first time. Great to see you. Great to see everyone. Really nice crew. So let's start with some kirtan.
Okay. So we'll start with our opening prayers to drop in together, to shift from Maya consciousness to Krishna consciousness. From whatever was present in your day, in your service, and otherwise. Just take a deep clearing breath first. Inhale, sip the breath in, fill up. Exhale, let it all go. Inhale, fill up. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshunmilitam yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Panchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyeva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. I request. So let's immerse ourselves in the magic, the medicine of these holy names, offering our attention, offering our intention, our presence, our hearts, really our lives, in service to Radha Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Last time together. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shri Shri Krishna Bhagavan ki,
Jai.
Shri Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki,
Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan ki,
Jai.
Shastra Study Group ki,
Jai.
Brahma Bhakti Sangha and beyond ki.
Jai.
Lord Premanande, Hari Hari
Lord Hari Bol.
Bol.
Om Jnanatimirantasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Vanchakalpatarupyascha Kripasindhubhye Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. All right, my favorite night of the week. We get to explore more Bhagavatam. So we read the first chapter last week, which I'll just kind of like review really quickly. We heard all about Vidura, who's a great devotee. We heard about how he had always been very pious, very aware of Krishna's position, and very much a supporter of the Pandavas. A bit of his backstory, how he tried to advise his brother, Dhritarashtra, but he was unsuccessful. Dhritarashtra was firmly fixed on this idea of his sons and everyone else. Mm-hmm. So that was his perspective, and Vidura was badly treated. He was mistreated. And there was a beautiful verse where the Bhagavatam says that the external energy was acting simultaneously with the internal energy. That Duryodhana, Dhritarashtra's son, was affected by the external energy of Maya when he viciously insulted Vidura, said, throw him outside, leave him only with his breath, and called him the son of a maid. He just tried to insult his parentage, this and that. And Vidura saw it as, oh wow, this is Krishna. This Krishna is inviting me to leave this drama. I can just go on pilgrimage. How wonderful. And then he did. And the chapter concluded with him coming to Uddhava and asking questions. Although Vidura knew that Krishna and his associates had left the planet, or at least that his associates had left the planet. But he needed to process that, so he asked how they're doing, one after the other. So he asked a series of questions culminating in how's Krishna and Balaram, and that's how the chapter ended. But we'll also just take any reflections, anything of that, or anything else that you heard or read that stood out before we jump into chapter 2, which I know I always say this, but practically always. But this is like really one of my favorite chapters of this. So it's just, you'll see why. It's like concentrated candy sugar. It's just super super sweet.
Love that.
So any reflections? What did you hear? What did you read? Or what did you just remember right now when I was reflecting? What can you reflect back?
My brain instantly went totally blank.
Yeah, when you ask us questions like that. Just of how exciting it is to hear where Vidura went during that pilgrimage. And also, when you were just talking, what struck me was like imagining that moment, like where you actually got to live on the planet with Krishna in a body, and then learning, like sensing that he might have left, that he might have departed, like, and then hearing that for the first time, just, yeah, I felt like, just like a pit in my stomach thinking about what that conversation must have felt like.
It feels like a little while ago, but at the middle of Canto 1, that happened as well with Arjuna. Arjuna came back after some time away, and Yudhishthira, his brother who was ruling, noticed that there were several inauspicious signs in the world around him, in the forms of deities, the animals, the natural world, the conduct of men, women, children, and things were just not right. And he had a feeling in his heart, a very strong feeling of premonition. And Arjuna came back, and he was so grief-stricken that Yudhishthira was just speaking to him, and Arjuna wouldn't reply for a while. Eventually it came out that yes, Krishna had left. And we see in real time there with Arjuna his process of experiencing and kind of processing all of that grief and sadness, and then remembering again, like remembering his whole experience of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, where he had the Bhagavad Gita spoken to him. And it's actually said that remembering what Krishna said to him in that conversation reestablishes himself, just as it established him then when he was completely bewildered by what he had to do at that time, which was, to that point, the greatest challenge he'd ever undertaken, and now Krishna's gone. But he remembered Krishna's instructions, and so in that sense, Krishna wasn't gone. So there's this kind of duality where they're so Krishna conscious. So Krishna is always with them in the form of remembering about him, and we'll see that remembrance gets thicker and thicker and thicker for Uddhava and Vidura. And when the separation is there at the same time, it's so painful. And it actually just amplifies that remembrance more and more. Of course, we see that in Canto 10 with the gopis and so many residents of Vrindavan. That's the hallmark of their love for Krishna, is that it's permeated with a feeling of separation. So we're going to get a taste of that now. Separation. Can I have some water, please? Thank you so much. All right, any more reflections?
I was just going to add to what you just mentioned, Shamprasad, that Vidura must have been very frightened asking some of these questions, is this person alive? Is this one? How about this one? Because, he knew that something major had happened, but he didn't understand, exactly who was left. So it was probably very, still having faith in Krishna is still very difficult for him, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, because at the liberated stage for a pure devotee, there is no suffering such as we understand it, except, and Lord Chaitanya points this out in his conversation with Ramananda Rai in the middle of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. He asks, what is the greatest suffering? And Ramananda Rai says, I know of no other suffering except for separation from the devotee. That even for liberated souls, pure devotees, it hurts so much to be separated from the devotee. When there's these loving relationships with Bhakti and Krishna in the middle. So Uddhava, rather Vidura, there's a sense of dread. You can imagine a sense of dread.
And he didn't ask about the Kauravas, didn't really ask about Dhritarashtra, his brother. He's sort of like, yeah, we know what's happening over there. So it was very interesting.
Yeah, it was interesting because he said, I'm not even going to ask, because I know there can't be anything good about him. He'd already planned out his destination. He's going to crash land. It's just like, I don't need to pick apart the wreckage of that. Because remember, he was on pilgrimage. He didn't hear about exactly how the war ended, but he knew there's only one way it could have gone for Duryodhana Dhritarashtra. But yeah, Haribol. Good to see you, Tandamani. Hare Krishna.
Wrote something in the chat.
Yeah, she's just apologizing for being late, but we're just happy to have you. Okay, yeah, let's jump in. I think we're going to get through this chapter and a good chunk of the next chapter, which is exciting.
Wow.
This chapter is called Krishna's Pastimes in Vrindavan. Or, well, Remembrance of Lord Krishna, but it's effectively Krishna's pastimes in Vrindavan. The next chapter is Krishna's pastimes outside of Vrindavan. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Text 1. Sri Shukadeva Goswami said, when the great devotee Uddhava was asked by Vidura to speak on the messages of the dearest, Lord Krishna, Uddhava was unable to answer immediately due to excessive anxiety at the remembrance of the Lord. Experiencing spiritual emotion. He was one, this is about Uddhava, he was one who even in his childhood, at the age of 5 years, was so absorbed in the service of Lord Krishna that when he was called by his mother for morning breakfast, he did not wish to have it. Purport. From his very birth, Uddhava was a natural devotee of Lord Krishna, or a Nitya Siddha, or liberated soul. From natural instinct, he used to serve Lord Krishna even in his childhood. He used to play with dolls in the form of Krishna. He would serve the dolls by dressing, feeding, and worshipping them. And thus he was constantly absorbed in the play of transcendental realization. These are the signs of an eternally liberated soul. An eternally liberated soul is a devotee of the Lord who never forgets him. Human life is meant for reviving one's eternal relation with the Lord, and all religious injunctions are meant for awakening this dormant instinct of living entity. The sooner this awakening is brought about, the quicker the mission of human life is fulfilled. In a good family of devotees, the child gets the opportunity to serve the Lord in many ways. A soul who is already advanced in devotional service has the opportunity to take birth in such an enlightened family. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 6:41. Even the fallen devotee gets the opportunity to take his birth in the family of a well-situated Brahmin or a rich, well-to-do mercantile family. In both these families, there is a good opportunity to revive one's sense of God consciousness automatically because, particularly in these families, the worship of Lord Krishna is regularly performed and the child gets the opportunity to imitate the process of worship called Archana. The Pancharatriki formula for training persons in devotional service is temple worship, whereby the neophytes get the opportunity to learn devotional service to the Lord. Maharaj Parikshit used to also play with Krishna dolls in his childhood. In India, the children in good families are still given dolls of the Lord, like Rama and Krishna, or sometimes a demigod, so that they may develop the aptitude of service to the Lord. Prabhupada's going to lapse into first person here. By the grace of the Lord, we were given the same opportunity by our parents, and the beginning of our life was based on this principle. Prabhupada was raised by great devotees, particularly his father, he gives a lot of credit to, and he used to enact the Rath Yatra festival when he was a child with dolls and so forth. So, symptoms of a rare soul. Verse 3. Uddhava thus served the Lord continually from childhood, and in his old age that attitude of service never slackened. As soon as he was asked about the message of the Lord, he at once remembered all about him. From the purport, transcendental service to the Lord is not mundane. The service attitude of the devotee gradually increases and never becomes slackened. Generally, an old aged person is allowed retirement from mundane service. But in the transcendental service of the Lord, there is no retirement at all. On the contrary, the service attitude increases more and more with the progress of age. In the transcendental service, there is no satiation, and therefore there is no retirement. Materially, when a person becomes tired by rendering service in their physical body, they are allowed retirement, but in the transcendental service, there is no feeling of fatigue, because it is spiritual service, and is not on the bodily plane. Service on the bodily plane dwindles as the body grows older, but the spirit is never old. And therefore, on the spirit plane, the service is never tiresome. Again, Prabhupada, sleeping for 2 hours a night, traveling around the world, out of eagerness to share Krishna. Verse 4. For a moment, he remained dead silent, and his body did not move. He became absorbed in the nectar of remembering the Lord's lotus feet in devotional ecstasy, and he appeared to be going increasingly deeper into that ecstasy. So, our acharyas comment that the word muhurtam, for a moment, has a literal meaning as well, besides the figurative meaning of like for a moment. Muhurta literally means 48 minutes. So 48 minutes. He may have gone into an ecstasy that lasted for up to 45 minutes, 3/4 of an hour, out of a sense of, well, we'll see, the love he has for Krishna. So Prabhupada is speaking to that in his purport. On the inquiry by Vidura about Krishna, Uddhava appeared to be awakened from slumber. He appeared to regret that he had forgotten the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus he again remembered the lotus feet of the Lord, and remembered all his transcendental loving service unto him, and by so doing he felt the same ecstasy that he used to feel in the presence of the Lord. Thus Uddhava remained completely silent for a moment, or for several moments, and then he appeared to be going deeper and deeper into ecstasy. Feelings of ecstasy are displayed by highly advanced devotees of the Lord. There are 8 kinds of transcendental changes in the body: tears, shivering of the body, perspiration, restlessness, throbbing, choking of the throat, etc. All were manifested by Uddhava in the presence of Vidura. What's that sound?
Sounds like a phone.
Can we get it turned off? Okay.
Oh, is this the speaker? Yeah, got it.
Verse 5.
Oh, there's. I'm sorry.
It was so observed by Vidura that Uddhava had all the transcendental bodily changes due to total ecstasy, and he was trying to wipe away tears of separation from his eyes. Thus Vidura could understand that Uddhava had completely assimilated extensive love for the Lord. From the purport, the symptoms of the highest order of devotional life were observed by Vidura, an experienced devotee of the Lord, and he confirmed Uddhava's perfectional stage of love of Godhead. Ecstatic bodily changes are manifested from the spiritual plane and are not artificial expressions developed by practice. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu by Srila Rupa Goswami, the chief disciple of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, these transcendental symptoms, displayed by pure devotees like Uddhava, are systematically described. We have written a summary study of Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu entitled The Nectar of Devotion, and one may consult this book for more detailed information on the science of devotional service.
There you go.
Many of us here have studied this book together, Nectar of Devotion. Such an important book. Verse 6. The great devotee Uddhava soon came back from the abode of the Lord to the human plane, and wiping his eyes, he awakened his reminiscence of the past and spoke to Vidura in a pleasing mood. Purport: when Uddhava was fully absorbed in the transcendental ecstasy of love of God, he actually forgot all about the external world. The pure devotee lives constantly in the abode of the Supreme Lord, even in the present body, which apparently belongs to this world. The pure devotee is not exactly on the bodily plane, since they are absorbed in the transcendental thought of the Supreme. Verse 7. Sri Uddhava said, "My dear Vidura, the sun of the world, Lord Krishna, has set, and our house has now been swallowed by the great snake of time. What can I say to you about our welfare?" There it is.
Concise.
Purport: the disappearance of the Krishna sun may be explained as follows, according to the commentary of Sri Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Vidura was struck with great sorrow when he got the hint of the annihilation of the great Yadu dynasty, as well as of his own family, the Kuru dynasty. Uddhava could understand the grief of Vidura, and therefore he first of all wanted to sympathize with him by saying that after the sunset everyone is in darkness. Since the entire world was merged in the darkness of grief, neither Vidura nor Uddhava nor anyone else could be happy. Uddhava was as much aggrieved as Vidura, and there was nothing further to be said about their welfare. The comparison of Krishna to the sun is very appropriate. As soon as the sun sets, darkness automatically appears. But the darkness experienced by the common person does not affect the sun itself, either at the time of sunrise or of sunset. Lord Krishna's appearance and disappearance are exactly like that of the sun. He appears and disappears in innumerable universes, and as long as he is present in a particular universe, there is all transcendental light in that universe. But the universe from which he passes away is put into darkness. His pastimes, however, are everlasting. Question?
So is it when Krishna disappeared,
Mm-hmm.
in this case, is that when we moved into Kali Yuga? Because it
Yeah.
moved into darkness?
That's also true. Yes. His pastimes, however, are everlasting. The Lord is always present in some universe, just as the sun is always present in either the eastern or western hemisphere. The sun is always present either in India or in America, but when the sun is present in India, the American land is in darkness, and when the sun is present in America, the Indian hemisphere is in darkness. As the sun appears in the morning and gradually rises to the meridian, and then again sets in one hemisphere while simultaneously rising in the other, so Lord Krishna's disappearance in one universe and the beginning of his different pastimes in another take place simultaneously. As soon as one pastime is finished here, it is manifested in another universe. And thus his Nitya Lila, or eternal pastimes, are going on without ending. As the sunrise takes place once in 24 hours, similarly, the pastimes of Lord Krishna take place in a universe once, in a daytime of Brahma, the account of which is given in the Bhagavad Gita as 4,300,000,000 solar years. But wherever the Lord is present, all his different pastimes, as described in the revealed scriptures, take place at regular intervals. As at sunset, the snakes become powerful, thieves are encouraged, ghosts become active, the lotus becomes disfigured, and the Chakravaki laments. So, with the disappearance of Lord Krishna, the atheists feel enlivened, and the devotees become sorry. 8. This universe, with all its planets, is most unfortunate. And even more unfortunate are the members of the Yadu dynasty, because they could not identify Lord Hari as the personality of Godhead, any more than the fish could identify the moon. Purport. Uddhava lamented for the unfortunate persons of the world who could not recognize Lord Sri Krishna in spite of seeing all his transcendental godly qualities. From the very beginning of his appearance within the prison bars of King Kamsa up to his Mausala Lila, although he exhibited his potencies as the personality of Godhead in the 6 opulences of wealth, strength, fame, beauty, knowledge, and renunciation, the foolish persons of the world could not understand that he was the Supreme Lord. Foolish persons might have thought him an extraordinary historic figure because they had no intimate touch with the Lord, but more unfortunate were the family members of the Lord, the members of the Yadu dynasty who were always in company with the Lord but were unable to recognize him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Uddhava lamented his own fortune also because although he knew Krishna to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he could not properly use the opportunity to render devotional service to the Lord. He regretted everyone's misfortune, including his own. The pure devotee of the Lord thinks himself most unfortunate. That is due to excessive love for the Lord and is one of the transcendental perceptions of viraha, the suffering of separation. So this is a kind of spiritual humility. Actually, Uddhava is incredibly exalted in his devotion to Krishna, but he's considering himself, as Prabhupada saying, he's like thinking, I never actually served him. Verse 9. The Yadus were all experienced devotees, learned and expert in psychic study. Over and above this, they were always with the Lord in all kinds of relaxations, and still they were only able to know him as the one supreme who dwells everywhere. Verse 10. Under no circumstances can the words of persons bewildered by the illusory energy of the Lord deviate the intelligence of those who are completely surrendered souls. From the purport, according to the atheistic point of view, Lord Krishna's family, the Yadu dynasty, was vanquished due to being cursed by the Brahmanas for the sins committed by Krishna in killing the sons of Dhritarashtra, etc. All these blasphemies do not touch the heart of the devotees of the Lord because they know perfectly well what is what. Their intelligence regarding the Lord is never disturbed. But those who are disturbed by the statements of the Asuras are also condemned. That is what Uddhava meant in this verse. 11. Lord Sri Krishna, who manifested his eternal form before the vision of all on the earth, performed his disappearance by removing his form from the sight of those who were unable to see him as he is, due to not executing required penance. 12. The Lord appeared in the mortal world by his internal potency, Yogamaya. He came in his eternal form, which is just suitable for his pastimes. These pastimes were wonderful for everyone, even for those proud of their own opulence, including the Lord himself in his form as the Lord of Vaikuntha. Thus his, Sri Krishna's, transcendental body is the ornament of all ornaments. Verse 13. All the demigods, from from the upper, lower, and middle universal planetary systems assembled at the altar of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. After seeing the beautiful bodily features of Lord Krishna, they all contemplated that he was the ultimate, dexterous creation of Brahma, the creator of human beings. Because he's so beautiful. So, at this point, is it this point? Or the last couple of verses, Uddhava's verses have changed meter in Sanskrit, which is a symptom, or it's associated with a change in mood, a change in emotion. So he's getting more and more into the remembrance, and I think for a while, maybe the rest of this chapter, he's going to be in this mode, this meter. Yasya anuraga plutaha sarasa lila valoka pratilabdhamana vajasriyo drupiranupravritta tiyo vatastu kilakritya shesha. Verse 14. The damsels of Vraja, he's remembering Vrindavan now. The damsels of Vraja, after pastimes of laughter, humor, and exchanges of glances, were anguished when Krishna left them. They used to follow him with their eyes, and thus they sat down with stunned intelligence and could not finish their household duties. From the purport, in his boyhood at Vrindavan, Lord Krishna was notorious as a teasing friend in transcendental love to all the girls his age. His love for them was so intense that there is no comparison to that ecstasy. And the damsels of Vraja were so much attached to him that their affection excelled that of the great demigods like Brahma and Shiva. Lord Krishna finally admitted his defeat before the transcendental affection of the gopis and declared that he was unable to repay them for their unalloyed affection. Although the gopis were seemingly anguished by the Lord's teasing behavior, when Krishna would leave them, they could not tolerate the separation and used to follow him with their eyes and minds. They were so stunned by the situation that they could not finish their household duties. No one could excel him even in the dealings of love exchanged between boys and girls. It is said in the revealed scriptures that Lord Krishna personally never goes beyond the boundary of Vrindavan. He remains there eternally because of the transcendental love of the inhabitants. Thus, even though he is not visible at present, he is not away from Vrindavan for a moment. 15. The personality of Godhead, the all-compassionate controller of both the spiritual and material creations, is unborn. But when there is friction between his peaceful devotees and persons who are in the material modes of nature, he takes birth just like fire, accompanied by the Mahat Tattva. We see here in the remembrances of Uddhava that he, along with knowing, what Krishna did and with whom, where, how, when, he is aware of Krishna's position. He's aware of Krishna's position above the modes of nature, how it is he appears. It's not a sentimental thing. It's very much a science. It's this bhakti yoga. So as a great devotee, it's not just that he has these ecstatic symptoms. A side effect, actually, of bhakti is the development of a sense of separation from the material energy and transcendental knowledge. This is detachment and knowledge. This is confirmed in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 2, that knowledge and detachment come concomitantly by practice of bhakti. So, greater than any philosopher, you see these great devotees have perfect knowledge of what's what, including how it is that Krishna, although above the modes of nature, can appear apparently within them. So we see verses like this. And what his purpose is for appearing, right? To satisfy his devotees. 16. When I think of Lord Krishna, how he was born in the prison house of Vasudeva, although he is unborn, how he went away from his father's protection to Vraja, and lived there incognito out of fear of the enemy, and how, although unlimitedly powerful, he fled from Mathura in fear. All these bewildering incidents give me distress. From the purport, a pure devotee knows very well how it is possible for the Lord to adjust opposite things, but he laments for the non-devotees who, not knowing the supreme glories of the Lord, think of him as imaginary, simply because there are so many apparently contradictory statements in the scriptures. Factually, there is nothing contradictory. Everything is possible when we understand the Lord as the Lord and not as one of us with all our imperfection. 17. Lord Krishna begged pardon from his parents for their, Krishna and Balaram's, inability to serve their feet due to being away from home because of great fear of Kamsa, he said, "O mother, O father, please excuse us for this inability. All this behavior of the Lord gives me pain at heart." So when Krishna and Balaram went back to Mathura, and there was a wrestling match, Chandra and Mushtika, and Krishna and Balaram defeated them, then he killed Kamsa, and the threat was ended. But then he goes to his birth parents, Devaki and Vasudeva, and he does this. This verse says he apologized to them. "I'm sorry we had to leave. We couldn't be present with you." Although he is the Lord himself and he has nothing to apologize for. But his dealings with his devotees are so touching. That's what Uddhava is overcome by in these verses, in his remembrance. 18. Who, after smelling the dust of his lotus feet even once, could ever forget it? Simply by expanding the leaves of his eyebrows, Krishna has given the death blow to those who are burdening the earth. 19.
So that's like referring to all the demons, the stories that he
Yes.
that he slays in Krishna book and
Mhm.
such. Gives them the death blow.
Right. At the beginning of the 10th canto, the burden of the earth planet is described by the earth planet to Brahma, in which he pleads for help. And Brahma goes to Lord, and he says, "I'm coming as my own original personality." And so that's one of the reasons for his appearance, is to remove the burden of the earth. And he does. Like metaphorically, just by the wiggling of his eyebrows. It's an insignificant side effect of his being there. It purifies everything. Verse 19. You have personally seen how the king of Chedi, Shishupala, achieved success in yoga practice, although he hated Lord Krishna. Even the actual yogis aspire after such success with great interest by performance of their various practices. Who can tolerate separation from him? So from the purport, in the open assembly of the Rajasuya sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira, Shishupala insulted Lord Krishna, and he was finally killed by the Lord. But it was seen by everyone in the assembly that a light flashed out of the body of the king of Chedi and merged into the body of Lord Krishna. This means that Chediraj achieved the salvation of attaining oneness with the Supreme, which is a perfection most desired by the Gyanis and Yogis, and for which they execute their different types of transcendental activities. So just by getting killed by Krishna, he was liberated. What yogis have to undertake severe austerities to achieve, he just got by being Krishna's enemy. And so Uddhava was saying, how can anybody tolerate separation from such a person? 20. Certainly others who were fighters on the battlefield of Kurukshetra were purified by the onslaught of Arjuna's arrows. And while seeing the lotus-like face of Krishna so pleasing to the eyes, they achieved the abode of the Lord. From the purport, all the warriors who fought against Arjuna but who were able to see the lotus-like face of the Lord on the battlefront, achieved the abode of the Lord exactly as the devotees of the Lord do. Amazing, right? Just by leaving their body in his association, being killed by his devotee. Also, Prabhupada says, those who saw the beautiful face of the Lord on the battle of Kurukshetra were purified first by Arjuna when he made his onslaught with arrows. All the activities of a pure devotee are executed on the behalf of the Lord because a pure devotee of the Lord has nothing to do for their personal interest. Arjuna's killing was as good as killing by the Lord himself. As soon as Arjuna shot an arrow at an enemy, that enemy became purified of all material contaminations and became eligible to be transferred to the spiritual sky. Don't try this at home. But that was his position. Remember, at the end of the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna fully surrenders to the will of the Lord. He has no other motivation. And what does Krishna want? He wants the battle to happen. In fact, in the 11th chapter, he said, this is already going to happen. I've already put those who have to die to death. You can be an instrument, that's all. So Arjuna was an instrument. He's as good as Krishna's hand. Uddhava seemingly lamented that his own position was less than that of the warriors on the battlefield of Kurukshetra because they had attained to Vaikuntha, whereas he remained to lament the disappearance of the Lord. 21. Lord Sri Krishna is the Lord of all kinds of threes and is independently supreme by achievement of all kinds of fortune. He is worshipped by the eternal maintainers of the creation who offer him the paraphernalia of worship by touching their millions of helmets to his feet. From the purport. He is the Supreme Lord of the three worlds, the three qualities of material nature, and the three Purushas. Karnodikshaya, Garbhodikshaya, and Kshirodikshaya Vishnus. There are innumerable universes, and in each and every universe there are different manifestations of Brahma, Vishnu, and Rudra. Right, okay. Verse 22. Therefore, O Vidura, does it not pain us, his servitors, when we remember that he, Lord Krishna, used to stand before King Ugrasena, who was sitting on the royal throne, and used to submit explanations before him, saying, O my Lord, please let it be known to you. Purport. Lord Krishna's gentle behavior before his so-called superiors, such as his father, grandfather, and elder brother, his amiable behavior with the so-called wives, friends, and contemporaries, his behavior as a child before his mother Yashoda, and his naughty dealings with his young girlfriends cannot bewilder a pure devotee like Uddhava. Others who are not devotees are bewildered by such behavior of the Lord, who acted just like a human being. 23. This is a famous verse. Here's a little context of this verse. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there is a pastime where there's a bit of a backstory I won't get into, but two devotees of the Lord are in the association of are in the presence of another devotee, and the devotee that they're witnessing is in a very opulent position. He's a king. He's like a king. He's just like oiled hair, slicked back, reclining on pillows, several servants. And one devotee said to the other, or he was thinking, like, are you sure this is a great devotee? And then the other one said, observe. And he recited this verse. And this verse is at the height of Uddhava's ecstasy of separation. And upon hearing the verse, the apparently materialistic devotee exhibited terrific ecstatic symptoms, and everyone who witnessed him could see that he was actually completely in love with Krishna, actually, not at all affected by the modes of nature. So, this is the verse. Aho bhakyang stanakal kurtang chikang sayapa yer apyasatvi le pegating tatru chitang tatonyang kang va dayalung sharanang vrajema. Alas, how shall I take shelter of one more merciful than he, who granted the position of mother to a she-demon, Putana, although she was unfaithful and she prepared deadly poison to be sucked from her breast. Purport. Here's an example of the extreme mercy of the Lord even to his enemy. It is said that a noble person accepts the good qualities of a person of doubtful character, just as one accepts nectar from the stalk of poison. In his babyhood, he was administered deadly poison by Putana, a she-demon who tried to kill the wonderful baby. And because she was a demon, it was impossible for her to know that the Supreme Lord, even though playing the part of a baby, was no less than the same Supreme Personality of Godhead. His value as the Supreme Lord did not diminish upon his becoming a baby to please his devotee Yashoda. He was literally an infant. This is like the second demon he kills. So, or the first. So he was very young. The Lord may assume the form of a baby or a shape other than that of a human being, but it doesn't make the slightest difference. He is always the same Supreme. A living creature, however powerful he may become by dint of severe penance, can never become equal to the Supreme Lord. Lord Krishna accepted the motherhood of Putana because she pretended to be an affectionate mother, allowing Krishna to suck her breast. The Lord accepts the least qualification of the living entity and awards them the highest reward. That is the standard of his character. Therefore, who but the Lord can be the ultimate shelter? You can take shelter of that verse whenever you're feeling down. 24. I consider the demons who are inimical toward the Lord to be more than the devotees, because while fighting with the Lord, absorbed in thoughts of enmity, they are able to see the Lord, carried on the shoulder of Garuda, the son of Kashyapa, and carrying the wheel weapon in his hand. From the purport, the Asuras, who fought against the Lord face to face, got salvation due to their being killed by the Lord. This salvation of the demons is not due to their being devotees of the Lord, it is because of the Lord's causeless mercy. Anyone who is slightly in touch with the Lord somehow or other is greatly benefited, even to the point of salvation, due to the excellence of the Lord. He's so kind that he awards salvation even to his enemies because they come into contact with him and are indirectly absorbed in him by their inimical thoughts. So out of his humility, Uddhava is thinking, better I was a demon of Krishna They're more fortunate than me. 25. The personality of God and Lord Shri Krishna, being prayed to by Brahma to bring welfare to the earth, was begotten by Vasudeva in the womb of his wife, Devaki, in the prison of the king of Bhoja. 26. Thereafter his father, being afraid of Kamsa, brought him to the cow pastures of Maharaj Nanda, and there he lived for 11 years, like a covered flame with his elder brother Baladeva. From the purport, he lived there for 11 years and completed all his fascinating pastimes of childhood, boyhood, and adolescence with his elder brother, Lord Baladev, his first expansion. Vasudev's thought of protecting Krishna from the wrath of Kamsa is part of a transcendental relationship. That's why he was sent, because Vasudev thought he won't be safe here, because Kamsa's here. Better my friend Nanda take care of him, he'll be hidden there. The Lord enjoys more when someone takes him as his subordinate son who needs the protection of a father than he does when someone accepts him as the Supreme Lord. He is the father of everyone and he protects everyone, but when his devotee takes it for granted that the Lord is to be protected by the devotee's care, it is a transcendental joy for the Lord. 27. In his childhood, the Almighty Lord was surrounded by cowherd boys and calves, and thus he traveled on the shore of the Yamuna River, through gardens densely covered with trees and filled with vibrations of chirping birds. 28. When the Lord displayed his activities just suitable for childhood, he was visible only to the residents of Vrindavana. Sometimes he would cry and sometimes laugh, just like a child, and while so doing he would appear like a lion cub. This is like the first 35 chapters of Krishna book, all those beautiful Vrindavan pastimes. 29. While herding the very beautiful bulls, the Lord, who was the reservoir of all opulence and fortune, used to blow his flute, and thus he enlivened his faithful followers, the cowherd boys. In the purport, Prabhupada talks about the glories of protecting cows and natural living, simple living, high thinking. He says, human society will kill its spirit of life by killing the father and the mother, the bull and the cow. Verse 30. The great wizards, if you're into wizards, evil, good and evil, shapeshifters, sorcery, witches, fairies, sure. You got to read the Krishna book. You got to read Krishna's pastimes. The great wizards who were able to assume any form were engaged by the king of Bhoja, Kamsa, to kill Krishna. But in the course of his pastimes, the Lord killed them as easily as a child breaks dolls. You've seen like a child break their G.I. Joes or whatever. That's Krishna. It's like smashing the greatest shape-shifting wizards. 31. The inhabitants of Vrindavana were perplexed by great difficulties because a certain portion of the Yamuna was poisoned by the chief of the reptiles, Kaliya. The Lord chastised the snake king within the water and drove him away. And after coming out of the river, he caused the cows to drink the water and proved that the water was again in its natural state. Verse 32. The Supreme Lord Krishna desired to utilize the opulent financial strength of Maharaj Nanda for worship of the cows. And also he wanted to give a lesson to Indra, the king of heaven. Thus he advised his father to perform worship of Go, or the pasturing land, and the cows, with the help of learned brahmanas. This is the Govardhan pastime. Krishna arranges for Govardhan Hill and the cows to be revered.
So they're referring to Govardhan Hill, or Go, as in like short, but Govinda, Gopala, it's like cow.
Mm-hmm. Krishna literally says, why are you offering these, making these offerings to Indra? Indra provides rain, right? And Nanda said, well, it's traditional. We are dependent on the rain, and Indra provides it. And Krishna says, nah, I don't think so. It's very cute, because he's like a little boy coming in the middle of this assembly, and he's like, turns her whole local tradition topsy-turvy. He's like, nah, I don't think so. Why don't we just offer all this to the cows and Govardhan Hill, because they're taking care of everything for us. And it was his way of purifying Indra, because Indra was getting a little puffed up. He's a subordinate. He's a very, he's a devotee. He's a very responsible devotee. But temporarily he was puffed up, thinking, they should honor me. I'm the great Indra. And Krishna was also pointing out that really you just have to take shelter of me, because he actually manifested his form as Govardhana there and then. So when they worship Govardhan, they're worshiping him. So it's a whole sweet pastime. Yeah. 33. O sober Vidura, King Indra, his honor having been insulted, poured water incessantly on Vrindavan, and thus the inhabitants of Vraja, the land of cows, were greatly distressed. But the compassionate Lord Krishna saved them from danger with his pastime umbrella, the Govardhan Hill. 34. In the third season of the year, the Lord enjoyed as the central beauty of the assembly of women by attracting them with his pleasing songs in an autumn night brightened by moonshine. Before leaving the land of cows, Vrindavan, the Lord pleased his young girlfriends, the transcendental gopis, in his Rasa Lila pastimes. Here Uddhava stops his description of the Lord's activities. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the third canto, second chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Remembrance of Lord Krishna. Jai.
So can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So I know that when we started this second chapter, we're hearing how's Krishna and Balaram, and I get that. But what question of I'm sorry?
Vidura.
No. What question of Parikshit is being answered in this? Like I know it starts in the prior chapter. I'm just trying to
Yeah, that's in the
frame it.
previous canto. So Parikshit specifically asked, okay, so what happened is toward the end of the second canto, Parikshit's asking questions, Shukadev's answering, this and that. And then Shukadev starts talking more about the material creation, and Parikshit basically is like, can you tell me more about Vidura? I want to hear about him.
Okay.
He interrupts to say, I specifically want to hear about Vidura.
Okay.
Because he knows that Vidura is a great devotee, and he'd heard about him before, which what's for us is the first canto. So he's like, oh, do you know more about him? I really like this whole thing about Vidura. Like, you got more of that?
Got it.
So then he's like, yeah. And they go right into the whole Vidura thing. That's how Canto 3 starts. So
Thank you.
it's by special request. And that's why Prabhupada talks about in the first chapter that the devotees know when great devotees get together, there must be something very important being discussed. So they're always interested in such a conversation. So let's take reflections on this chapter.
Oof.
Well, two things. One is this the chapter we read with your Gurudev at Uddhavakund in Govardhan Hill?
Ooh, I think
Had a
so.
flashback to it.
I think so.
With a whole group of devotees.
Yeah.
Thought so.
Yeah, there's a little pond where Uddhava is worshipped at Govardhan Hill. And this pastime, some of it is written on the wall in Sanskrit.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd forgotten about that. Thank you.
Yeah, I could see it. I was remembering it. And then a reflection from text 15. I love how Krishna was described, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but Krishna was described as the all-compassionate controller of both spiritual material creation, and there were some other things, but just that struck me, of all-compassionate controller. Just this amazing way that we get to understand and have a relationship with God that is he's the controller, but he's also all-compassionate.
Right.
Right, and it's, it struck me in another way to describe his benevolence, right, and in a way that there doesn't have to be fear of God.
Right. Yeah, he's both all compassionate, all merciful, and all powerful. If he was just all powerful but not all merciful, it'd be scary.
Yeah.
If he was all merciful but not all powerful, he'd be irrelevant. He'd be sentimental. But he's actually both. As he says in Bhagavad Gita, I am, in the last verse of the 5th chapter, says, I am the enjoyer of all sacrifices, I am the Lord and Master of all creations and all living entities, and I'm the best friend of all living entities. If one thinks of me in this way, they will achieve real peace. He's all those things, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, go ahead.
I have such immense respect and even more I'm blown away by our collective gurus. So when we think about His Holiness Radhamaswamy and Krishna Teacher and Rukmini and Vaisheshika Prabhu, they live like this. And I look, we know that they're beings on the earth, and we know that they're not God per se, but when we think about them as pure devotees and how Uddhava is speaking is how they experience the world, it's just makes my not feel so unworthy to be under their tutelage and be under their guidance, but also how amazing is it that Krishna has given them to us, our own personal Uddhavas, to really understand what being immersed in Krishna consciousness really is.
Yeah. Even Vidura needs the association and craves the association of such devotees. So what to speak of how much benefit we're getting? It's always relevant. Yeah. Any more reflections?
I like the fact that he gives honor to the enemies. It's kind of, you're thinking like, keep your enemies, your friends, how's the saying go?
Friends close, enemies closer.
Yeah, yeah. And how just by contact,
Yeah.
they get their benefits, their strength.
Yeah.
Even
No.
in the worst of times, poisoning a little baby, it doesn't get much worse than that.
She wasn't even an honest killer. She came disguised as something else. Yeah. But Krishna, Krishna's
Talk
nature.
about forgiveness. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, the ultimate of not holding the grudges of the world, of personal
Right.
and spiritual.
Yeah, Krishna's nature is that he is absolute. So anyone who comes in contact with him, regardless of their motivation, gets benefited. The devotees get more benefit, but out of his humility, Uddhava was saying, actually, I'm nothing. It would be better if I was a demon. They got so much benefit. I have to sit here and miss Krishna. They got to go, get liberated or whatever. Yeah. Anything else before we jump into chapter 3?
I wanted to add too, I think it also shows, I was talking with somebody the other day just about like how Krishna's name is him, and like, even like these devotees that had that minute of association, with association with Krishna personally, if Krishna's name is the same as his form, right, when we're doing kirtan in public, or we say Hare Krishna, or we say the name of Krishna around different people, like how they're going to get the benefit, almost like the demons did to some extent, where like
Right.
they're getting exposure to Krishna, and that will do nothing but help them.
In fact, Rupa Goswami says in the 6th verse of the Sri Namashtaka, a poem he writes about the holy name, he says, although there is no difference between Krishna and his name, there is one difference. He says that the name is even more merciful. Because even if one commits all kinds of offenses against the name and is completely unqualified for the benefits, the name can plunge one and will plunge one into an ocean of transcendental love and ecstasy for Krishna, despite their disqualifications. And it's even more merciful than Krishna himself. So, yeah. All right, chapter 3, the Lord's pastimes out of Vrindavan. Text 1, Sri Uddhava said, thereafter, Lord Krishna went to Mathura city with Sri Baladev, and to please their parents, they dragged Kamsa, the leader of public enemies, down from his throne and killed him, pulling him along the ground with great strength. From the purport, the parents of the Lord, due to parental affection, felt extreme danger, and they almost fainted. Just to convince them that they had actually killed Kamsa, Krishna and Baladeva pulled Kamsa's dead body along the ground to encourage them. Yeah, it's quite the scene. Verse 2, the Lord learned all the Vedas with their different branches simply by hearing them once from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, whom he rewarded by bringing back his dead son from the region of Yamaloka. From the purport, the Lord offered his services to his teacher Sandipani Muni, and the Muni, knowing the power of the Lord, asked something which was impossible to be done by
I just
anyone else.
finished that whole box of.
Oh.
She's in the box. She's muted. You're good.
Okay. The teacher asked that his beloved son who had died be brought back to him, and the Lord fulfilled the request. The Lord is not, therefore, an ingrate to anyone who renders him some sort of service. The devotees of the Lord who always engage in his loving service are never to be disappointed in the progressive march of devotional service. Verse 3. Attracted by the beauty and fortune of Rukmini, the daughter of King Bhishmaka, many great princes and kings assembled to marry her. But Lord Krishna, stepping over the other hopeful candidates, carried her away as his own share, as Garuda carried away nectar. Verse 4. By subduing 7 bulls whose noses were not pierced, the Lord achieved the hand of Princess Nagnajiti in the open competition to select her bridegroom. Although the Lord was victorious, his competitors asked the hand of the princess, and thus there was a fight. Well equipped with weapons, the Lord killed or wounded all of them, but he himself was not hurt. 5. Just to please his dear wife, the Lord brought back the Parijata tree from heaven. just as an ordinary husband would do. But Indra, the king of heaven, induced by his wives, henpecked as he was, ran after the Lord with full force to fight him. 6.
Because
Verse 6. Narakasura, the son of Dharatri, the earth, tried to grasp the whole sky, and for this he was killed by the Lord in a fight. His mother then prayed to the Lord. This led to the return of the kingdom to the son of Narakasura, and thus the Lord entered the house of the demon. 7. There in the house of the demon, all the princesses kidnapped by Narakasura at once became alert upon seeing the Lord, the friend of the distressed. They looked upon him with eagerness, joy, and shyness, and offered to be his wives. Right? They had been kidnapped by Narakasura, and they felt that in the context of the society they came from, they felt that as kidnapped women, they had no social standing anymore. They were considered spoiled, and they just thought, well, you're Krishna, you can please give us shelter. And he did. He married all of them. He married every single one of them, and they're all his devotees. And 16,000 princesses. Verse 8, all those princesses were lodged in different apartments, and the Lord simultaneously assumed different bodily expansions, exactly matching even at each and every princess. He accepted their hands in perfect rituals by his internal potency. Verse 9, just to expand himself according to his transcendental features, the Lord begot in each and every one of them 10 offspring with exactly his own qualities. Kalyavana, the king of Magadha, and Shalva attacked the city of Mathura. But when the city was encircled by their soldiers, the Lord refrained from killing them personally just to show the power of his own men. Each one of these is basically like a chapter of the 10th canto, or chapter of the Krishna book.
Right.
yeah, it seems like everything we're kind of covering is related somewhere else.
Hmm.
Like you guys all have familiarity with it. I'm sitting here, I'm like, oh, it's that. I still
Yeah.
got more reading to do.
Yeah, the fastest way is read the Krishna book. It's also the sweetest way. It's one of our favorite books. It's really wonderful. 11. Of kings like Shambhara, Dviveda, Bana, Mura, Balvala, and many other demons, such as Dantavakra, some he killed himself, and some he caused to be killed by others, Sri Baladeva, etc. 12. Then, O Vidura, the Lord caused all the kings, both the enemies and those on the side of your fighting nephews, to be killed in the battle of Kurukshetra. All those kings were so great and strong that the earth seemed to shake as they traversed the war field. 13. Duryodhana was bereft of his fortune and duration of life because of the intricacy of ill advice given by Karna, Dushasana, and Saubala. When he lay on the ground with his followers, his thighs broken although he was powerful, the Lord was not happy to see the scene. From the purport, the Lord is constrained to award punishment upon the wrongdoer, but he is not happy to award such punishments, because the living entities are originally his parts and parcels. He is harder than the thunderbolt for the wrongdoer and softer than the rose for the faithful. The wrongdoer is misled by bad associates and by ill advice, which is against the established principles of the Lord's order, and thus they become subject to punishment. The surest path to happiness is to live by the principles laid down by the Lord, and not disobey his established laws, which are enacted in the Vedas and the Puranas for the forgetful living entities. 14. After the end of the battle of Kurukshetra, the Lord said, the abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 akshauhinis, that's like a phalanx of a measurement of the number of members of an army. The abatement of the earth's great burden, 18 akshauhinis, has now been effected with the help of Drona, Bhishma, Arjuna, and Bhima. But what is this? There is still the great strength of the Yadu dynasty, born of myself, which may be a more unbearable burden. From the purport, it is a wrong theory that due to an increase in population the world becomes overburdened, and therefore there are wars and other annihilating processes. The earth is never overburdened. The heaviest mountains and oceans on the face of the earth hold more living entities than there are human beings, and they are not overburdened. If a census were taken of all the living beings on the surface of the earth, certainly would be found that the number of humans is not even 5% of the total number of living beings. If the birth rate of human beings is increasing, then the birth rate of other living beings is increasing proportionally. The birth rate of lower animals, beasts, aquatics, birds, etc., is far greater than that of human beings. There is an adequate arrangement for food for all the living beings all over the earth by the order of the Supreme Lord. And he can arrange more and more if there is actually a disproportionate increase of living beings. Therefore, there is no question of an increase in population causing a burden. The earth became overburdened due to dharmaglani, or irregular discharge of the Lord's desire. The Lord appears on the earth to curb the increase in miscreants and not the increase in population, as is wrongly put forward by the mundane economist. When Lord Krishna appeared, there had been a sufficient increase in miscreants who had violated the desire of the Lord. The material creation is meant for fulfilling the desire of the Lord, and his desire is that the conditioned souls who are unfit to enter into the kingdom of God have a chance to improve their conditions for entering. The entire process of cosmic arrangement is intended just to give a chance to the conditioned souls to enter the kingdom of God, and there is an adequate arrangement for their maintenance by the nature of the Lord. Therefore, although there may be a great increase in population on the surface of the earth, if the people are exactly in line with God consciousness and are not miscreants, such a burden on the earth is a source of pleasure for her. There are two kinds of burdens. There is the burden of the beast and the burden of love. The burden of the beast is unbearable, but the burden of love is a source of pleasure. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti describes the burden of love very practically. He says that the burden of the husband on the young wife, the burden of the child on the lap of the mother, and the burden of wealth on the businessman, although actually burdens from the viewpoint of heaviness, are sources of pleasure. And in the absence of such burdensome objects, one may feel the burden of separation, which is heavier to bear than the actual burden of love. When Lord Krishna referred to the burden of the Yadu dynasty on the earth, he referred to something different than the burden of the beast. The large number of family members born of Lord Krishna counted to some millions, and were certainly a great increase in the population of the earth. But because all of them were expansions of the Lord himself by his transcendental pleasure, plenary expansions, they were a source of great pleasure for the earth. When the Lord referred to them in connection with the burden on the earth, he had in mind their imminent disappearance from the earth. All the members of the family of Lord Krishna were incarnations of different demigods, and they were to disappear from the surface of the earth along with the Lord. When he referred to the unbearable heaviness on the earth in connection with the Yadu dynasty, he was referring to the burden of their separation. Sri Jiva Goswami confirms this inference. 15. When they quarrel among themselves, influenced by intoxication with their eyes red like copper because of drinking, matu, then only will they disappear, otherwise it will not be possible. On my disappearance, this incident will take place. From the purport. No one was able to kill the family of the Lord, nor was there any possibility of their natural death by the laws of nature. The only means, therefore, for their disappearance was the make-show of a fight amongst themselves, as if brawling in intoxication due to drinking. That so-called fighting would also take place by the will of the Lord, otherwise there would be no cause for their fighting. Just as Arjuna was made to be illusioned by family affection, and thus the Bhagavad Gita was spoken, so the Yadu dynasty was made to be intoxicated by the will of the Lord and nothing more.
I've never heard that. I've never heard that description before.
Yeah. Devotees of the Lord never assert independent individuality. On the contrary, they utilize their individuality in pursuit of the desires of the Lord. And this cooperation of the devotees with the Lord makes a perfect scene of the Lord's pastimes. We'll read one more verse. 16. Lord Sri Krishna, thus thinking to himself, established Maharaj Yudhishthira in the position of supreme control of the world in order to show the ideal of administration on the path of piety. Okay, we'll pause there. Hare Krishna. All right, good progress. Chapter and a half today. Now we'll take any reflections, comments, or questions, anything that stood out. Tandavani.
Yes, thank you. Great class. Thank you so much. As we were, reading through the pastimes in Vrindavan, and then of course the bit that we've gone through out of Vrindavan, I'm thinking about how, Krishna, the all-powerful, he could have done this any way he wanted to, chose to allow himself to be known intimately by all of the inhabitants of Vrindavan, the cowherd boys, the girls, the families, and then outside of Vrindavan, he chose to be like them, and have intimate relations with them, have, expand himself into 16,000 wives and be at the pleasure of the devotees. And I was just thinking about the word intimacy. That's what attracts me to our bhakti tradition is, I really love the intimate relationships that we have with each other and in our study groups and in our sangha, and I love the at-home programs and just that intimacy. But basically, I think he's modeling what it's really about, and the best personal way to know Krishna is to get into that intimate level, have that intimate relationship, as opposed to the impersonal religions out there and impersonal relationships out there that God sits above everybody looking down at everybody, and you can't touch him, you don't know what it is, maybe he's just an energy or a mist or a concept, instead of a truly loving friend, a lover person that you have an intimate relationship with. And I find that really beautiful.
Yeah. Remember when Narada Muni advised Vyasadeva why he wasn't satisfied? He said, because you haven't been personal enough about Krishna. You need to do more of that. You need to give people more of that. The indirect spiritual injunctions are not going to satisfy them like personal realization of Krishna. So please do that. And then his satisfaction returned. Yeah, great reflection.
I would just add to that this idea that if we don't keep on trying to hear it, we forget. If we don't keep our relationships and keep on working at it, we'll be like many of the people that, and Uddhava excluded, who were like, oh, yeah, I guess he was okay. As opposed to he's the supreme God, and here are all the stories. Now, Uddhava remembered all those stories because of his deep affection, but it's almost like Krishna is saying, okay, you're not ready to be, at the level that you need to be. You got to keep on forgetting and remembering to remember.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prabhupada referred to us in the purport to 13. He said, the surest path to happiness is to live by the principles laid down by the Lord and not disobey his established laws, which are enacted in the Vedas and the Puranas for the forgetful living entities. Forgetful living entities. Yeah. Persons like Uddhava don't really have that problem, but most of us aren't like Uddhava, forgetful living entities. So we're reminding ourselves. Remember, religion, religio, to reconnect, to remember. That's what religion really means. Yeah. Any more reflections? Yes.
I think when we were listening to the part about like a rising population won't overburden the earth, I just, you think back to like, what is it, like the 60s and 70s and 80s in China, where you could only have like one child, and they would euthanize, like, or they would kill the girl children because they wanted boys and all this. And it's just, you look at that and you're like, they did that because they felt that they were overpopulated and overburdened. And when they're so infatuated with Maya, right? And they're not living like Prabhupada said, to have one cow and a plot of land, and this is all you need to be happy and to survive. Like, if we actually simplified like that, like none of that would happen. And so this idea of being so infatuated with Maya and so infatuated with having so much, and there's so much inequality that causes this what we'll call overpopulation idea to take place.
Yeah, we have, even right now, what to speak of, even if we don't live that simply, we have enough to support people at a middle class income. Billions more than we currently do. We just waste so much. There's such rampant inefficiency and greed in our global system. So what Prabhupada's saying is quite deep, but you can start to appreciate, even from a logical point of view, that we really are our own enemies. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and about how I don't know if this is what he meant, but I think of it as like there's enough if you live a life of faith.
Right.
Like Yogananda talked about in his book, like if you just have faith that it will come, it will come. But if you try to control the situation and you rely on the materialistic world, It doesn't seem like it does, but I'm not sure if that's what he was saying.
Yeah, I mean, if we kind of take it with other statements he said in other places, yeah, because he strongly criticizes the materialistic point of view, which is that based on the idea that you can and should try to manipulate the world around you as much as possible for your own satisfaction and satisfaction of those you identify with yourself. I think Gandhi put it like in a pithy way, like the world has enough for our need, but not enough for our greed. Right? So there's a certain mentality influenced by the rajas, the mode of passion, whereby one tries to adjust the world as much as possible for their own material betterment. And that's a problematic path.
Hoarding.
Yeah, it creates things like hoarding. It's like, because influenced by that mode, there's never such a thing as enough. It's impossible to have enough. You have to keep getting more. You're infected by that.
And you're causing others to suffer because you're taking more than you need.
Yeah. So.
In that same vein, I love how Prabhupada spoke about in the purport, I think it was verse 14, about the beast, the burden of beast. I was thinking the beast of burden, Rolling Stones, but the burden of beast and the burden of love, and how our relationship with the goddess Bhumi, with Mother Earth, right? It's like, if it's the burden of love, she's pleased and it will provide more for us. But if it's the burden of beast, and like what you're speaking about with greed and hoarding, then we don't have as many resources. She doesn't give us as much.
Yeah, there's also, I forget what scripture it is, one of our Puranas, where it says that Bhumi, although she supports everybody, all criminals and all kinds of persons of different mentality, the one thing she can't tolerate on her surface is the presence of an ungrateful person. An ungrateful person, it causes such a burden for her. She's like shrugging, trying to get it off. Like,
the heebie-jeebies.
Yeah. You think about it, she's like she's supporting everybody, all those trillions of ants and all the human beings in every mode of nature. But yeah, it's really a powerful meditation, that it's the mentality that really affects because as you think of her as a mother, like her nature is to give. She's happy to do it. It's just if you're just greedily taking, ungratefully, and trying to abuse the system and create problems for her siblings, is like, you know what? You got a timeout coming.
Kill her sweet
Right.
resources.
Not very good. Better get it fixed.
Not very good, better get it fixed.
Any other reflections? Great. Well, this is really nectarian, and I hope you all had as good a time as I did. So, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Sri Uddhava ki jai, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. All right, see you next week. Please reflect in the chat. We read and appreciate your reflections. Always reflect in the chat from chapters 2 and 3. Read chapters 2 and 3, and we'll pick up halfway through chapter 3 next week. Haribol.
Haribol.